Hey everybody. A while back I did a flea market find series about the Thompson Speedway flea market, and I showed off a lot of the tools that I had acquired at that swap meet. And then I kind of briefly mentioned that I had scored a really good deal on some amateur radio equipment, some old ham radio equipment, some old CB radio equipment. And I said that I would do a separate video and kind of show that stuff off. That way, if anybody who's not interested in this kind of old vintage electronics can just, they didn't have to sit through the whole thing. So, why am I over here in this corner of my basement that I use only for storage? And it's so crowded over here, I can't even get over here easily. The reason why is because I started to actually put some of this stuff away up on the shelves because I was tired of it tripping on it as I was walking in and out of the shop area. And it occurred to me that I hadn't gotten around to showing anybody this stuff, so I wanted to just take a quick look at one of the transceivers that I ended up getting. This was part of the first lot that I bought of electronics, in which I snagged this. It's a Kenwood TS520S, I believe. So let me get some better lighting over here, and we'll take a look at this thing. So here it is, guys. My first, well, technically it's not my first ham radio. Back when I was a young man and I was into CB radios, hot and heavy, I bought a Siltronics Comanche 1011D, which was an early tube ham radio 10-meter transceiver. And it had been converted to 11 meters. So technically I've got another transceiver. I've still got that one that I bought from somebody. Oh God, that was over 25 years ago now. And I'll tell you, that thing was a hell of a talker. On AM and sideband, that thing could really shoot skip. And of course, that was totally illegal. This is actually not molested as far as I can tell, a ham radio transceiver. The story was I came along to this table and they had this whole stack of radio equipment, and the whole stack was there, and this was one of the radios in it. Caught my eye. I get to talking. The next thing I know, I'm dealing with the wife, because the husband's like, that was all her stepdad's equipment. It was all in his ham shack, all in his radio room, aka ham shack. And it's up to her what she wants to do. So I'm like thinking, I don't want to be toting this stuff, halfway across the flea market to get it back to the car and everything. So in the end, I ended up getting all of this gear that they had piled up there for $50. And I actually at one point considered leaving some of the stuff. And then I thought, why do that? Why even if I get $5 or $10 for some of the other pieces that I don't want, that'll just go towards the cost of probably all the caps I'm going to have to put in to recap this thing. Anyways, so this is a wide coverage transceiver, I guess you would call it, because it goes all the way from anywhere from 160 meters through 10 meters. Receives WWV at 15 megahertz. Oh, well, that's nice. The WWV, I believe, is the worldwide clock, synchronized to Greenwich time. I remember listening to that on old shortwave radios when I was a kid. This is also, of course, it has upper and lower sideband, but it's also capable of CW operation. Doesn't have general coverage receive. I'm not quite sure what that means. But I do see here it is capable of 200 watts peak envelope power SSB and 160 watts DCCW. I wonder if that's direct carrier continuous wave. Anywho, for those of you who know these radios, you would probably agree that even if all I got for my $50 was just this radio with nothing else in non-working condition, I'm assuming it's non-working. It may even work. I don't know. I haven't even done anything with it yet. But $50 is a good deal for that. Based on what I'm seeing on eBay, I'm seeing this model radio on eBay sold as parts radios, which means not working, and they're bringing over $150. So let's take a look at some of the other goodies. I also got, from the same deal, I got this Halla Crafters model SR160. This is a tri-band amateur transceiver. It covers 80, 40, and 20 meters. Has CW, lower sideband, and upper sideband. It's capable of 150 watts input in SSB peak envelope power and 125 watts in CW. So it doesn't have as much coverage as the last radio, and it doesn't have as much power, and it's clearly older. This is a 17 tube radio, I think I just read. So this is going to be interesting to play around with to see if I can get anything out of this. But anyways, this is exactly how he had it. This appears to be, we've got a Turner Model 350 hand mic on this thing. Now, right about now, you guys who know these radios are probably thinking, hey, Steve, hate to tell you, but you're missing a little something. Well, here it is. This was with the radio sitting right next to it. And this actually, when I first saw this, I thought this was just an external speaker cabinet. And it turns out that this is actually the power supply for the radio with an internal external speaker. So without this little slice of heaven right here, you're not going to get much to chooch out of that transceiver. In addition, I also got this genuine original Kenwood MC50, model MC50 microphone. I'm sure he was probably running this with that Kenwood transceiver. You have to push the talk button, and then you can lock it down if you really have a lot to say, I guess. Anyways, so that's pretty nice that came with that. WB1ER1, those are probably the gentleman's call letters back when he had his station on the air. Probably duly licensed with the FCC, as you should be if you're going to operate this kind of radio equipment. Also came with this. This is an MFJ Enterprises Versa Tuner 2, model MFJ-941. So what this is this is an antenna tuner. The reason why you want one of these is the idea is that you want your antenna to be impedance matched to the transmitter for optimum performance. And there's a thing called SWR that you can measure. I don't remember if it stands for standing wave ratio or what it exactly stands for, but ideally you want a 1-to-1 ratio. And what that means is that all of the power going out through the antenna is going out through the antenna, and you're getting maximum efficiency, as opposed to part of that power being reflected back by the impedance of the antenna. I'm still a little shaky on this. It's been a long time since I took basic electronics radio theory. But long story short is, if you have too high of an SWR, for instance 3-to-1, that means that a lot of the power that's going out to that antenna is being reflected back and can actually damage the transmitter. So the idea is, if you've got a wideband transceiver that you're able to change the frequency range quite a bit, that impedance matching is going to have to be changed as you change bands. And an easy way to accomplish that is to have a antenna tuner like this. So those of you guys who have one of these antenna tuners and use it all the time, I bet you don't have this snazzy feature right here. Huh? Look at that. So what he's done, what this clever individual did, was he got tired of reaching behind the unit to have to switch this switch, which allows you to switch from wire balanced mode to antenna 1, antenna 2, and bypass, to bypass the tuner altogether. And so he put this switch so he could just toggle it thusly. Kind of neat.